Welcome back to the Speakeasy podcast. I am so pumped to bring you today's episode. I'm going to be honest, I don't really get nervous about interviews that much anymore, but I definitely had a little okay, I want this to go well. There's a lot of admiration on my end for my guest today, who is Pastor Joby Martin. He is the pastor of the Church of 1122 in Jacksonville, Florida. And my admiration for him is really because of my husband. Pastor Joby is my husband's favorite, I think he would say. And I have seen over the last year of honestly kind of being under his digital discipleship, an incredible amount of growth and change in his relationship with Jesus. And then naturally that just impacts the rest of your life. And so when I got the opportunity to sit down with him on the podcast, I was like, I really need to do this justice. And I feel like it went really well. We had a really incredible conversation about things like leadership, authority, submission. There's multiple mentions of like making out and negotiation and how we can do this well and how we can break out of this toxic cycle that a lot of marriages tend to get caught in, of comparison and keeping score and bitterness. And he's just one of the guys, and really incredibly easy to talk to. And he's talking about these things in terms that, like, this would probably be a really great episode to listen to with your husband. Honestly, this entire month has been a month of episodes that would be great to listen to with your husband. And I would recommend his podcasts and his books to anyone looking to grow in their relationship with the Lord. And we went there in this episode, and it was really awesome for me. And then I just kind of there's this added benefit that I get to share it with you guys. Before we jump into the episode, quick word about Crowd Health. Crowd Health is an insurance alternative. There are so many people kind of unplugging from this matrix system that has kept millions of people sick and oppressed and kind of like unsure what they're really even paying for or supposed to be getting. And so with Crowd Health, you pay your monthly fee for yourself or your family, and you get access to an incredible amount of assets, a list of vetted doctors, lower cost prescriptions, and lab testing. And then if something serious does happen, you pay the first $500, and then the Crowd steps up and covers the rest of it. And that means that when you pay, your money is going to cover someone else in crisis. And so this open enrollment, you can take your power back and you can join Crowd Health. Get for $99 for the first 3 months when you go to joincrowdhealth.com and use the code SPEAKEASY. That is joincrowdhealth.com, code SPEAKEASY. Crowd Health is not insurance, it's an alternative, but this is how you can opt out and take your power back. All right, let's get into the episode. Pastor Joby, welcome to the Speakeasy.
Thank you, Blake. Thanks for having me.
I had to take a minute before we started and kind of wax poetic. And I also just want to give the people that are listening the heads up that I'm not going to be weird, but I know I've listened to a lot of your sermons and your content. And so I'm really excited to have a conversation about essentially the state of men and masculinity in our current times and what we as women have to do with that. And so I thought to get us started, I would let you introduce yourself to my audience in case they don't know who you are.
I'm Pastor Joby Martin, been married to Gretchen for 25 years. I'm the father of JP, he's 20, and Reagan Capri, she's 16. That's the best thing going in my life, is what is happening at home. And then I planted a church. I've been in ministry since I was 19. I'm 52. Planted a church in 2012 here in Jacksonville. God breathed on it, and now we have campuses from Orlando up to the Brunswick area, and people kind of watch all over the place. And then I've written 4 books. The last one's called Stand Firm and Act Like Men. It's just a Bible studied right out of the Bible.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
That's
it's so good for men. I think I said this before. My husband is not a reader. And so wives, if you are listening, my husband is not a reader, and he devoured this book and is actually going through it a second time.
Good.
And your ministry, I would say your goal is to help people discover and deepen their relationship with Jesus. That's how you describe it, right?
Yeah. All people for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I love about you, is that it's not, you're speaking to men a lot of the time. And you're, especially I think in this season as the book has been coming out. But it's for everybody that you're actually speaking to the family of Christ, and that men just needed a little extra. They needed a little oomph lately, and
Not a
you've been
little, a
here to,
lot,
yeah,
a whole
that's
lot.
fair.
I
That's
mean,
fair.
really, do you think the problem with the church in the last 100 years is because women have been doing their part? I mean, let's be real. I
I
mean,
don't.
I mean, at the empty tomb, the dudes are all huddled up and they're afraid, and the women go to clean up. The reason I
Yeah.
think that, I mean, very practically speaking, the women are like, hey, Joseph of Arimathea and and Nicodemus, they prepared the body. And anytime a husband prepares anything, maybe other than a deer, there's probably a cleanup that has happened after the cleanup. But they're the ones
Right.
that are the first witnesses, the first evangelists, the first one to tell the story. So here's one of my favorite things about the church I get to pastor. I've said this about 1,000 times this last year, is when we announced for our whole church, we're going to spend the whole year calling men to stand firm and act like men. I got zero of the, well, what about us?
Mm-hmm.
Because a godly woman asks, how can I help? Not what about me? Quite honestly.
Yeah.
And you're just smart enough to make all the connections, you know. But sometimes I got to put it on the bottom shelf for a dude and kick him in the butt a little bit and just say, come on, boys, we got to do better.
I know this time of year, a lot of us are purging, we are throwing away. Hopefully, we're also replacing with items of quality, especially that stuff that we're using day in and day out: towels, bedding, pajamas. One of my favorites go tos for all of that is Cozy Earth. Everything they make is just made with the highest quality materials, and it just feels like luxury. Their bath towels are genuinely some of my favorite. First of all, they're huge. They're also like thick. They stand the test of time. I feel like we are hard on our bath towels, and these have held up so well. And Cozy Earth also has a 10-year warranty. So even if something does happen, you're going to be protected and it's not a problem. So you can start the new year off right and give your home the luxury it deserves and make home the best part of life, because it is. You can head to cozyearth.com and use my code SPEAKEASY for up to 20% off. And if you get the post-purchase survey, be sure to mention that you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the Speakeasy. A smart woman knows the benefit that if my husband is being encouraged, equipped, cultivated, and called up, my family's going to benefit, my marriage is going to benefit. I am a walking, talking testimony that like my life has changed because my husband has felt equipped and empowered to stand firm and act like a man. And
Yeah. And you're trying to, people are trying to raise their boys to be men and
right,
raise their girls to look for the right kind of men. So
exactly.
this,
Exactly.
this
We
is,
have
it's definitely an
daughters.
all skate.
It is. We have two girls, and just in the last year of watching him change as a father, I am very blessed to be married to a good man,
Yeah.
and I'm getting to watch him become a really great man. And
Praise God.
that is unparalleled. It's what I was saying is this is an easy read. This is very straightforward and to the point. I think it's what, 6 chapters,
Yeah.
maybe
There might be a seventh one, but yeah.
7. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just a regular dude. I think that's part of the
Yep.
reason God called me and uses me. I mean, I'm just a regular guy. I grew up in South Carolina. I love to hunt and fish and do all the things. And I am not trying to impress my seminary professors, even though I got degrees in this stuff. And, I did the Hebrew and Greek thing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just a regular guy. So there's lots of stories, lots of illustrations. It's straight out of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes this men's book a little bit different. There are some wonderful men's resources out there. I mean, written by psychiatrists and psychologists and sociologists. And I mean, bro, those people are so smart. But
Yeah.
all I did is just unpack what the Bible says a man is supposed to be according to the Bible, not according
Yeah.
to the current society or all of that. Just this is what it means to be a man according to the Bible. And
Yeah.
the one thing I'm cautious of is that because there is kind of the return of the alpha male in the past couple of years. It's
Mm-hmm.
just positive. But I, I, I quote the Scottish proverb all the time: for every mile of road, there's 2 miles of ditch. And for a long time, a bunch of men abdicated responsibility and they just sat on the couch and played video games and voted for people that would pay them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But now the pendulum has swung too far the other way. And you get some really, really like caricatures of manhood, like I'm going to be loud and I'm going to be obnoxious and I'm going to demand
Dominant.
things. Yeah. And that's not what it means to be a man either. And listen, I fall into all the stereotypes, man. I mean, I really do. Like I hunt and fish and I lift weights and I fight jujitsu and I ride a Harley and I tell people all that none of that makes me a man. It makes me awesome, but that does not make me a man. You'll never stand firm and act like a man until you bend your knee to Jesus and do it the way he says to be a man.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I'm just trying to be helpful. And my favorite thing to hear is the downstream effect on wives and children and communities and churches.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
thanks for
and
sharing that.
that was why I kind of said at the beginning that when he started listening to you, I kind of leaned in and was like,
Oh,
where's he at on women? Because of exactly what you said, which I think a lot of us are cheering that on. We're like, yes, like we need men to like stand up and take their role, but not if it means standing on a woman's shoulders or,
oh.
making her and you have seen, I mean, there's some people and I'm like, you need to put your phone down. You need to like get off X and go, touch grass before you try to talk about marriage and roles and women and things like that. And so there's a whole book about it, obviously, but can you kind of give the condensed version of what does the Bible tell men? Like, what is their role? What are we supposed, like, as women, what am I supposed to be even hoping for, praying for,
Yeah.
joining in?
Yeah, ultimately, it's rooted in the gospel. I mean, God, if I'm going to be the man God has called me to be, I need to be like Jesus. The same is true for you too. But
Yeah.
we're equal in value, but we have different roles, obviously. And so, for a man to be a biblical man, he needs to be. These are titles or characteristics of Jesus: prophet, priest, servant, king, provider, protector. And the way
Yeah.
Paul says it, 1 Corinthians 16, 13, and 14. He says, first of all, you got to wake up, man. You got to wake up. Like, be on guard. Stand firm means to fight. Be strong. But your strength wasn't given to you for you, man. It was given to you for the sake of the gospel, the advancement of the kingdom, and to provide and protect for your people. That's your family, your church, your community, your country, those things, and the whole world. And then the one that a lot of people miss, though, is verse 14, which says, let everything you do be done in love.
Mm.
And it is the most important thing, according to Jesus, is love. Love God, love people. Even if you believe all the right things, you don't have love. 1 Corinthians says you're worthless.
Right.
And so that's it. It is, I think if you read those verses correctly, the way I see them is act like men is like the hub in the middle of the wheel, and the imperatives around it are how we are to be like that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're calling men to take
Yeah.
response. Honestly, if I boiled it down to one word, it would be responsibility. That
Right.
one day you will stand before the Lord your God and give an account for everything he has given you to steward. And like it or not, man, you are the head of your family. And somewhere in like a Beth Moore Bible study 50 years ago, somebody translated that into spiritual leader.
Mm.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's a portion of it. That's a portion of it. Um, it just means that you take responsibility for all of it. The
Right.
condition of your kids, the condition of your wife, the condition of your household, that you are ultimately responsible. Now, the way a husband and a wife like divvy up the roles and that you guys are smart people. You can figure out who's going to cook and who's going to take the trash out.
Right.
But when it goes wrong in the garden, God does not chase down Eve.
Right.
And man, you will stand before God and give an account. Now,
Yeah.
we talked about this a little bit when we started. When a man does his job rightly, what a wife and children ought to feel is freedom.
Yes.
I mean, that's what you ought to
Yeah.
feel because, and listen, man, I warn the men. I speak every man's conference there is. I think I get invited to speak. And so I talk to men. And I tell them, nobody is more nervous right now than your wife at home, dude. Because if you've been neglecting her for 10 years and now you're going to get all cowboyed up in a weekend, and then you're going to try to make up for 10 years of neglect and start pursuing her all of a sudden, she's going to be like, yeah, right. So Maybe the best thing you need to go home is say, I am so sorry. I mean, I am
Exactly.
sorry. Like, we should lead with repentance, not with, all right, I'm in charge.
I got it
Everybody
now.
listen to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I
Right.
mean, the way Jesus displayed the full extent of his love is he dressed himself as a servant and he washed his disciples' feet. So, we don't even have a good correlation to that these days, you know? I mean, people do it at churches sometimes. It's kind of dumb. Because, like, I do, because nobody needs to wash feet anymore. We have clean
Right.
feet. Like,
It's
you know,
symbolic, but
my it
it's
is, yeah, but it's so dumb. I hate
yeah.
it. Like if you, I don't really do many weddings anymore, but when I used to do weddings, and the dude was like, "We're gonna do a foot washing ceremony," I'm like, "Are you?"
Oh, are you
Because
sure?
that girl's
Do
feet
we
have
all have to
never.
watch that?
It's so bad. I
Yeah.
don't let them. But and her feet have never been that clean before ever.
Hmm.
She had a
Yeah.
pit crew for the last 48 hours working on her to get ready. I mean, every
She does not
toe.
need her feet washed.
So what
No,
does
it's
that
so
mean?
true.
So what that is actually is like change the diapers, clean the
Right.
toilet, whatever the worst jobs are, you know?
Right. Or just
Like, yeah.
ask.
Oh,
Like
yeah, yeah.
ask what can you carry? What can you take off of her plate? That is one of the most wonderful loving things my husband ever does is when he walks in the door is like, all right, what do you need me to handle? Because I homeschool, I've been here with them all
Oof.
day. What do you
Yeah.
need me to take?
It's
And
so hard.
that I will take that over him getting on his knees and washing my already clean feet every day.
But so I think you have a mostly female audience.
Yes.
So let me tell you to your listeners, if your husband asks, please answer honestly.
Yeah.
Like that's really helpful. Now, if I were talking to men right now, I wouldn't let them off that easy because Peter says, husbands, live with your wives as unto knowledge. Um,
Mm.
that means like you got to become a student of hers and you can learn stuff that's hard, men. Like you can figure out when the waves break and when the deer walk and when the turkey gobble and
Yep.
the passing yards of Drew Brees in the 90s. Like you know what's important to you. And in Ephesians 5, when it says, husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, most of us would be willing to take a bullet, but we won't get that opportunity, you know?
Right.
And then it goes on to say, to love your wife is to love yourself. And nobody has ever hated their own flesh. Now, it's talking to men. I actually don't know a woman that loves her flesh.
Mm.
Like my wife she turns 50 this year, and she is the most in shape 50-year-old pretty woman you've ever seen in your life. I'm not gonna get weird about it, but she
No,
is.
she's beautiful.
And all she does is stand in the mirror and criticize what she looks like. But
Yep.
so she's like, I don't love my flesh, but that's not what it's talking. It's talking to the dudes. I don't care how out of shape a dude is. If he catches the right reflection on the right day in the hubcap, he's like, look at there, still got it. And and a dude knows how to take care of himself.
Hmm.
Like the day he got married, he was the most selfish human being on the planet. He was. It just because. And he knew what he wanted and what he needed, and nobody had to tell him because he knew him.
Yeah.
So if he's driving around in his truck and he gets thirsty, nobody has to tell him, he knows. And so what does he do? He pulls over and he gets him something to drink and he gets himself what he likes to drink every single time. Okay.
Yeah.
So Paul's like, all right, your new job is to study her. And I'm just going to confess, you guys are complicated. Holy moly. And, I
Which
think it
is
was
why he has to ask, so it's like
for
that give and
sure.
take 100%. And I do think like there are things that need to just be like, there's a lot of conversations in female spaces right now about like the mental load and us having to kind of know who has to be where and where and all
Yeah,
of that kind of stuff.
for sure.
And my contribution to the conversation recently was kind of like, yes, I do. Mentally, I carry a lot. I couldn't file taxes if my life depended on it. And I haven't touched anything greasy or dirty in like 4 years. And I
Sure.
haven't taken out the trash. And I haven't had to do like the really like nitty gritty hard discipline stuff because my husband handles that. So like yes, we do carry the mental load, so do men in their own way. And so if we're learning each other, a lot of the time that comes with a lot of questions and open communication. Cause I ask the same thing. Like, what is there anything I've done recently that like really made you feel like loved and respected? And he'll be like, everything. Everything. And I'm like, awesome. We're crushing, and So I think it's yes, like you want them to learn, but I think that starts with just the humility to ask.
Yeah, I don't think enough. There's not enough people talking about the art of negotiation between a married couple. And I don't mean it. It's not like a hostage negotiation where you're trying to get what you want.
Right.
But when people love each other and they can just share some of their like dreams and desires. Now,
Yeah.
here's what happens. The moment it moves into the expectation category, you're in trouble because where there are expectations, there's no room for like unconditional love and acts
Yep.
of service, you know?
Yep.
But when people really care for each other, even just like at the friend level, then what you want to help meet other people's desires, you know?
Yeah.
Because I I wholeheartedly agree that the mental load that most wife moms that they carry is tough. I don't think y'all will ever understand the weightiness of what we carry,
Just
like
the
the response.
responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's some verses that ought to make men real nervous. You know, I mean, Paul tells Timothy, dude, if you don't take care of your family, provide and protect, you're worse than an unbeliever. Holy crap! What does that even
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Unbelievers go to hell. So there's like
Right.
a basement in hell for dudes that don't take care of their people. And
Right.
that doesn't just mean pay the bills either. That
No.
means to guard their hearts. That means to protect them heart, soul, mind, and strength. So
Right.
and
Right.
I would you wives have no idea how much just a little bit of gratitude will do in a man's life.
Yep.
He will fight the dragons, dude. I promise it's in him. He really will. And all he wants is just for the people that he loves most, just to say, we really appreciate you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I know that's what you want too, because here's what happens, man. You know, First Corinthians 13 says love is not jealous. And man, the moment you got a husband and a wife kind of jealous of each other's situation, it goes bad real. I
It
mean,
does.
I get it because the dude's out and he's working and he's like, she doesn't know what I go through and all. And then I wish I could stay home all day every day, because
She's
you
like, I
just
would kill to go to lunch. I would
exactly,
kill to like
exactly,
not have somebody touch me for 7 hours straight, you know?
wholeheartedly. And so
Yeah.
if both people, I mean, we all live on this continuum between gratitude and entitlement,
Mm-hmm.
and they cannot coexist, And the
And
more
it's
you move,
understanding.
dude, it's so hard to try to explain to a guy. And me, dude, I'm the worst too. Because you're like, man, I provide and I protect and I do all the things. And I mean, I love my wife and I love Jesus and I'm not looking at stuff I'm not supposed to look at. I don't talk to anybody I'm not supposed to talk to. You think like I'm
Yeah.
doing good. I should constantly be rewarded. And then your wife's been at home with the kids all day and you walk in the door and you have this thing all built up in your mind that she's going to run and jump on you. And just like you said, she just is like, can somebody please not touch me for just a second or ask me a question, So
Yeah.
those are the kind of things that can be negotiated. I mean, honestly.
Right.
So this happened in our marriage. Gretchen and I have been married 25 years, okay? And we planted the church in 2012 and it just blew up. I mean, like we were out of room day one and it was a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, babe, listen, I can either be here for breakfast or dinner. I can't be here for both just because I got to do like 10, 12-hour days. I just have
Yeah.
to. And she goes, I don't even want you here in the morning. And I'm like, what? I don't want to be here in the morning. I've been doing that because I'm trying to be a good dad. She's like, no, you screw everything up because we have this great
Throwing our rhythm
schedule.
off. Yep.
And then here comes fun dad and we're all late. And I'm like, well, so
But
we
that
could have
was
avoided
open communication and you
totally.
understanding each other.
Totally. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying. So if he asks, how can I help? You got to be honest with him because
Yes.
intuitively we're not good, man. We pick the wrong things. So
Like, why are you doing the laundry? The kids are going crazy. Like those kinds of
right,
things that happen.
right,
And so I think it's the communication, but then I think we get afraid of the communication, especially if it's gone badly in the
yeah.
past. If we've tried to communicate, either one, tried to communicate needs, desires, direction, but like and then that's where, and I know that's one of the things you talk about is like the understanding and the forgiveness and the grace to like try again. Like, let's not
Well,
throw this all out.
I will, again, to your primary female audience, I will tell you, men are not nearly as complicated as y'all think. They really aren't.
Yeah.
So when you ask, what are you thinking about? And he says nothing, that's actually true.
Mm-hmm.
And they are like puppies. They will repeat what is rewarded. I promise.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when
Yeah.
you catch him doing it right, tell him good boy, however that translates in your marriage.
Yeah.
But, oftentimes that involves physical touch or a lot of work. Love languages is a very helpful thing as long as that
Huge.
idea isn't weaponized, you
Right.
know,
Right.
or if it's not like a quid pro quo, like, hey, you're an
We're
acts of
keeping
service
track.
girl. Yeah. I mean, if you keep a score, you're in trouble.
Yep.
But they really will repeat what is rewarded.
Yeah.
So when
No,
they
that's
get
so
that thing
true.
right, if you say, man, you're a great dad, you're a great husband, thank you for that. The greatest thing Gretchen has ever told me is not, I love you. I mean, random people I don't even know tell me that they love me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The best thing she's ever said, this happened several times. The first time, I'm just like sitting on the couch, putting my shoes on. I don't know where I was going. She came home from the gym and she just looks at me and goes, thank you for my life.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, it makes me emotional now.
Yeah.
That's way better than I love you or,
Yeah.
you look nice.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you for my life because she was just oozing gratitude.
Yeah.
And she was saying, man, these kids, you know, they, like you're their dad and the house we live in and the life I live and the ministry opportunities I have. And so it goes
Another
a
really good
long,
one
long
is
way.
like, I'm proud of you.
Oh my gosh.
That's like,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's both ways too. That I feel the same way as a woman to be told that somebody that I care is proud of me. But I love catching him with that one because it's going to make him emotional. And that's just fun. It's sort of like, hey, but I mean it. Like, I'm so proud of you and the steps that you're taking. And he's just like, okay, all right. I was about to walk out the door and now I got to like take a minute to like pull
It's
it
true
together.
because what
Yeah.
it's so weird. Um, it's like men's heart have ears that only, I mean, we hear all kind of stuff, but there's a part of our heart that is only aimed at our wife.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I preach to a lot. I mean, we have a huge church and the online thing and, all the
Yeah.
things. But when she tells me that was a good sermon, it's just completely different than anybody else.
Hundreds.
Anybody else.
Hundreds of
It's not even
people.
close.
Yeah.
Or yeah, you when you write books and they do well and you get all these accolades, it's fine. I mean, it's better than everybody hating it. But when she tells me, "Good job," it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
This isn't new to me. I don't know who said this. I don't think I've had an original thought. So everything I've said, if I could remember who I got it from, I would tell you. But I can't remember. But one time I heard some lady on some reel talking, and she said, "Inside of every man is a king and a jester, and you're going to get the one you talk to."
Oh, that's good.
Bro, I'm just, you know,
Wow.
and what's crazy, see, and so like if we back this thing up, whatever, 150 years, and we were on the homestead, I would actually have opportunities to go and fight the grizzly and the wolf and like do that, like lay my life down for my wife. We don't really have that opportunity now. So when you catch him doing whatever that is and you just say thank you and good job, it draws the king in him out to be
Yeah.
that kind of servant king that he's been called to be.
Yeah.
Because it's what's crazy is wives, okay, so the husband according to the Bible is the head. The Bible actually never calls the husband the leader. it
Mm-hmm.
says it says wives submit, and so I know that's not a popular word, but neither is being married. uh but it
Or
says
staying
submit.
married.
Well, yeah, no doubt. There's a lot there too. So it said, first of all, the verse before it gets to that part says, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ.
That gets left out.
So this is about a mutual submission. So a really good
Mm-hmm.
marriage is honestly, it starts with a really good friendship. And
Mm-hmm.
good friends try to make the other person's deal a bigger deal than their deal. So
Yep.
so we're starting with mutual submission. And then it says wives. And again, if I was talking to husbands, I would say you shouldn't never quote the verses that aren't written to you unless you're like responsible to disciple a whole congregation or something like that. If you're teaching
Yeah.
Sunday school or something, cool. This says, wives, submit to your own husbands. This is important. Nowhere in the Bible does it ever say women submit to men.
Right. Thank
Only in the
goodness.
family.
Yeah.
There's only three spheres, and we all submit to somebody in all three of these spheres. So in the home, you know, dad's the head. In
Mm-hmm.
the church, we all submit to the elders. and I'm one of them here, but I submit to our elders too. We are all submissive. And then in the role of our government, even when it's terrible, we submit to the government until you try to be a good citizen until it means you can't be a good Christian. Then you,
Exactly.
okay. So submit to your own husband as unto the Lord, not because he's submittable to,
That part's
but
hard.
as real hard.
Yeah.
And if I were to translate in my, South Carolina education kind of words, because submit is such a like,
Yeah.
because wives begin to think about like, denim skirts and cooking and cleaning and,
And because it's been weaponized a lot.
10,000%.
Yeah.
If you want to nail that verse, you become your man's biggest cheerleader. That's what
Yeah.
that means. That's it.
Yeah.
And I use this example, like I said. I'll preach to over 1 million people this year, and when I get done, even like at our church, I stand in the lobby. There's a big line. I sign books and take pictures, and that's all fine. What makes me feel like the man is when my wife can't get the jelly jar open, and she hands it to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I can go and pop it off, and she doesn't actually do this, but when you go Hercules, Hercules, I'm telling you,
Yeah, that's it.
it unleashes something. So that's what that word means. That's what it
Yeah.
means.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the husbands. And you got to think about when this was written too. Okay, when Paul's writing the letter to the Ephesians, literally one of the words for women in Greek is gune, which meant goat giver. It's not a pot. It's not. That was about the dowry. Like you
Mm.
would marry that girl not
Get the
based
goats.
on yes, because it made sense for your family and for babies and farm whatever, and that they can be legal citizens, they can talk in court. I mean, so to hear in the first century, wife submit to your husband, be like, of course, what? Of course, all right. Then all this ink is given to the men.
Right.
All right. So what you're and so it doesn't say husbands lead. It says husbands love.
Right.
And then the way that we are to love is the way Jesus has loved us.
Yeah. I
And
think
so, yeah.
as a, I just had this conversation with some of the women at my church of like, and one of the things I want to get into is kind of how did we get here a little bit? How did we
Uh-huh.
get to this state of masculinity specifically within the church? Um, but what we were talking about was as a result, women have stepped up so significantly, and many of them have, out of unfortunate necessity, become very like independent. I can do it. I can do it. I have to do it. I'm going to get it done. There's no one worth following, so I'm just going to lead. And that's not fun for us. That is because it's not what we were actually designed for. And I posted something not that long ago that it was funny. It was very mixed take of like, no, I want to submit. I don't want to be I don't want to be the responsible one. I don't want to be the one that's going to stand before and take account. But then at the same time, we want to be married to men, I'm going to say, worth submitting to. I understand that that's not the biblical command, right? That it is a
But it
bit
is
of
the
a
but it is the ideal. It is the
it is the
biblical ideal.
ideal,
Yeah,
right?
that he would be doing his part. Yeah,
Right.
100%.
And so then what is interesting is what comes in, and you kind of talked about this earlier, is when men do, like you were talking about, don't come home guns blazing, like I'm here to lead now. But that when men do begin to step into that, because that was a shift in my marriage, when they step into loving and being the head, now the woman's got to figure out how to like, okay, he's got it, like take your hands off and like let it roll, and learn how to then step into your role, which is to nurture and to love and to be the cheerleader and to support. And come to find out, we're way more hardwired for that, and that is far more enjoyable. And then now you've got everybody working in their proper roles, but that transition can be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it actually just comes back to the fall, to sin itself,
Yeah.
right? And so God gave every man three things under the banner of worshiping him. And it was work to enjoy, a will to obey, and a woman to love. And all three of those arenas of our life were cursed. I mean, you can read
Mm-hmm.
it in Genesis 3.
Yeah.
So there's a girl on our team here named Rebecca Maxwell. She's a licensed family counselor, therapist, whatever. She's one of our family's best friends. They're our neighbors. She actually started our kids ministry before her practice, all this stuff. She's the first person that explained this to me. She says, so when Eve is cursed, what happens is God looks at her and is like, all right, it's going to be pain in childbearing, so that sucks. Then she says, and your desire will be for your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And we read that and be like, oh, she's going to desire me, and you're like, no, 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 not like you think. That word desire means like a hostile takeover. Now, here's the thing: the fingerprints of God on Eve is she was created to help, and a lot of times wives think they're helping, but it
Mm.
feels like an attack. This is what the Bible calls nagging. And this, bro, reading the Old Testament about what it says about a nagging wife, it's not good. I mean, it's like the
It's
worst
not
thing
good.
ever. It's like it'd be
Yeah.
better to die in the desert. Think about what happens
Yeah.
in the desert. Anyway. So, but again, and so the example I'll give is, and this is the opposite of cheerleader. Okay, so a dude, your husband's trying to tell a story at a party, it's just a bunch of people. And every dude knows you never let the truth get in the way of a good story. It's not even the point. The details don't matter. And he's like, all right, it was 4 years ago, 4th of July, we were at the beach. And a wife goes, well, actually, honey, it was 2 years ago. It was Memorial Day and we were at the lake. Now, almost every wife listening is like, he is so lucky to have me to tell him where he was wrong.
He's got the
What
facts
that
straight now.
feels like to him
Yeah.
is you don't have what it takes. You don't even have what it takes to tell a story, you know?
Yeah.
And what he needs from you, this is some John Eldredge stuff, deep in the heart of every man, is this question: do I have what it takes?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the truth of the gospel is, apart from Christ, you do not have what it takes, dude. And so you better bend your knee to Jesus. But in the book of Peter, in First Peter, Peter says his divine power has given us everything we need for life and godliness. In other words, when you submit to Christ and he redeems your heart and he puts the Holy Spirit as a deposit inside of you, husband, he has given you everything you need to accomplish everything he has called you to.
Mm-hmm.
A wife comes along and on her best days is the biggest cheerleader of what God is trying to do in his life. That's a part of the way we get there. And honestly, and again, when a lot of times wives feel like their intentions are correct. They just want to
Right.
help, but it feels
Mm-hmm.
like a hostile takeover
Mm-hmm.
instead of like you got this.
Mm-hmm.
And then what'll begin to happen, this also happens physically. Wives don't ever think about this, okay? I'm just telling you, I've been married 25 years. Got it? And men get thirsty and your wife is the only clean drinking water in town.
Mm-hmm.
Any other source is going to kill you, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's still a bit of a risk for a man to make an advance on his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. Sometimes her timing's terrible. I get all the things, all right? All the very, very legitimate reasons. But if his hand gets slapped enough, eventually he's going to T-Rex arm it. And then one day he's going to be like, it's not worth it. I'm out.
Right.
It hurts too bad. And then a lot of Christian conversations about how different men and women are in the area of physicality. It's not actually as true as it sounds. It's not just physical for guys. It's just
No.
like the greatest way to express how much you love somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, again, this is where the dude's got to study his wife, had to have the art of negotiation, say, all right, help me here, help me win, help me help you. And these kinds of conversations are very, very, very important. Now, again, I almost feel like I always need to say something like, we are kind of talking about relatively healthy, non-traumatized, there has not been physical or sexual abuse. You know what I mean?
Right.
That
Exactly.
that that's in a different category where you're going to need either the police or therapy but we're just kind of talking about your normal. We're
Standard
both
operations.
believer.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%. Well, and I think that's a huge part of the conversation that has been thankfully like pulled out of the shadows a little bit in the
Yeah,
last 5 to 10 years. We've started
for sure.
having real healthy conversations surrounding sexuality. But this all is a web, like it's all connected to each other. And so yes, there are these, you said legitimate reasons that the hand gets slapped. Like, who is it that says like sex starts in the kitchen? I think it's one of the Wilsons that like
Yeah.
if your hand is getting slapped, I'm not advocating for that, but maybe back the train up a little bit. And like,
Correct.
are you asking how you can help when you get home? Or are you said this earlier, like, are you playing video games and depending, like, counting on the government to do everything that you has actually been made your responsibility? And so it's this web that can kind of, I think a lot of couples, I mean, we have friends that like they get stuck in. And it's funny, I think coming out the week before this episode comes out, I had Craig Thompson on, and we talked about like somebody's got to go first.
Yeah.
Like somebody's got to break this chain of whatever it is, bitterness, resentment, keeping score, that like somebody's got to go first and just say you're proud of somebody or thank them or notice
Dude,
what they're doing.
years ago, Gretchen did something in our marriage that changed everything, and it's such a little hack. I'm normally not like a tips and tricks guy. I'm normally like let's exposit the scripture, but it was a Saturday, and it was like a rare. We didn't have anything going on this Saturday, and I don't know how to explain it. I just woke up in a bad mood, and I was being crappy,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm cooking eggs or something, and I'm just being crappy. And she was like, "Are you seriously going to ruin our whole day?" And I'm like, worse, okay.
Yeah.
And then she
Now I
just
am.
like, right. And then she was like, all right, here's what's about to happen. I'm going to go in the bedroom for a few minutes and we're going to do a do over. And when I walk out, I'm going to have a good Saturday and I hope you join me. So I'm going to do a do over. She used the phrase do over.
Yeah.
And then she came out and I'm still mad. And she was like, oh my God, how are you this morning? And I was like, what are you? This is so dumb. And she gave me a kiss and I was like, I'm pretty good, you know?
All right.
And so now, if we start heading down a ditch and you can just tell, like, I don't even have an excuse for why I'm being crappy right now.
Yep.
Now, we don't abuse this, but we sometimes, like, I don't know, a couple times a month, maybe we'll be like, can I just get a do over?
Yes.
Instead of us untangling this whole web that I just got us into, you know, can
Yeah.
we just do a do over? And
Yep.
it's crazy. That's just some like mutual submission out of
Yes.
reverence for Christ, and let's not ruin the day.
I've never thought about it that way. That because we call it. Can we just take a mulligan?
Yeah,
We'll
the
both just be like,
exact same.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you go over there, I'm going over here. I need to go touch grass. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Like you are my favorite person. We are best friends. The eggs were just pissing me off. Like whatever
Yeah.
I on the episode before I talked about that we got in a fight about the frying oil for making beignets a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "This is ridiculous!" Like,
Yeah.
but it's just that's just life, especially when you're living it that closely. And it was kind of that where it's like it doesn't actually always have to be a super drawn out conversation of like this is what I did. No, no okay, let's do this again.
It also helps me if Gretchen is like, I know I'm being crappy. I promise it's not you. You don't have to
Yes,
solve this puzzle. It is there's another thing going on right now. And I'm like,
yes.
okay, cool. Well
Oh,
then
I'm
I'm
off the
gonna leave
hook.
you alone. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Another little trick we
Well, go
figured
ahead.
out after 25 years, because I am it's funny, I was doing a personality exam one time that our elders love some personality exams. You know, they come out with a new one every 2 years, and
Right.
Christians love them. So all right. So I'm sitting on the couch. I'm doing this personality exam. She's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Filling out a personality exam." She goes, "Huh?" I go, "What do you mean, huh? What does that mean, huh?" She goes, "It's just gonna give you a new word for a hole." And
Oh.
I laughed so hard. But it's right. Like I'm red. I'm an 8. I'm a driver. I'm a D. I'm a lion. Whatever the thing is. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
All right. So what helps me win in my vocational job? Like I'm a driver at this place at the Church of 1122. We just launched our 16th campus. We're on our way to 22. We launched new service. I mean, I am a driver, and I sit in meetings, and I try not to act this way, but I'm the boss. Whatever I
Right.
say goes. I mean, the buck stops with me. Then sometimes I'll get home, and every great strength casts a very, very dark shadow.
Yeah.
And so she has just learned to say, when I come home and I still got like, pastor leader hat on, she'll just simply say, "You've been in a lot of meetings today, haven't you?" And that is just a clue that, hold on, I need a minute. I got to go shift gears. But I mean, this is not a healthy thing, but that's how happy hour started. You realize that?
Right.
The dudes are coming
The
home from work.
transition.
Yeah. And so I ain't going to happy hour, but I've got to have this. I got to shift gears into husband and out of, lead pastor role
Yeah.
because I
No,
begin
that
to
is
treat
very
her
real.
like an employee instead of like my wife.
And your children, like that bleeds over into your children as well. And then
100%.
that a big shift for us was like, I was like, you're treating your children like they're annoyances when like they're
Yeah.
just a big repetition for us was like they're being kids, and I've been with them all day and they've been doing this all day, and now you're walking in and losing it over
Yeah.
something that you know. And but it's that transition, and it's being able, like we've talked about a lot, it's like being able to communicate and understand, right? Like you can just be mad at him that he walks in like that, or you can understand like shifting gears is hard, and
Yeah.
you like sometimes you need a reminder, hey, let's take it out of overdrive. You're safe here. We don't need you to like corral us. We don't need you to be a cowboy. We need you to like be with us and love us and like let us live a little bit.
I've also, my worship pastor told me this before I go home every time. I just send a simple text. Need me to get anything? What I'm
Mm,
actually doing is checking the temperature at home.
yeah.
I don't want to ever say that. I just say, hey, I'll be home in a minute. Can I pick up anything?
Yeah.
Rarely does she ask me to pick up anything, but
Yeah.
oftentimes it'll say, no, I got to tell you a funny story. And I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
like that feels a way.
Yeah.
And you won't believe what your son said. And I'm like, okay, that's a different
Mm-hmm.
way. But
Mm-hmm.
I've got a little bit of warning of like what I'm walking into
No, that's
without
smart.
asking what I'm walking into.
Yeah, like what's the temp? Like that. No,
No,
don't come at me like that.
right.
No, that makes a ton of sense. Another thing that I wanted to get you to speak into for the women is the women that are listening, that they identify more with the man that you're essentially describing wanting men to move away from, right? They're like, my husband is the video games all day and night, or he is the checked out, or he is the everything is prioritized over us. But I'm still called to submit, and I'm still called to, you know, be a helpmate, and but I don't want to help him do the things that he's choosing and prioritizing. Like it's easier to talk about it when you're kind of on the side of it that I've gotten to, where like his life has been impacted by your work and we're standing up and we're acting like men.
Yep.
What about the women that are just like in it?
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Your job is not to change him,
Mm-mm.
but it is to cheer and encourage sanctification or change. So I would do everything you could do to get him around godly people. You're going to find those men at church. And
Mm-hmm.
again, he's like a puppy. He will repeat what is rewarded. And to put it on the bottom shelf, if your guy's like, I don't know, 99% of the dudes, then you, if he gets it right and you make out with him, I'm telling you, it's amazing the kind of
It's wild how
like
that
how he
formula works.
responds. It really is. So, um, and then the art of negotiation matters. Like, all right, I tell you need him to get around guys. Not it doesn't have to be me, but it could be. Everything I ever preach is online, and you can get them this book and these kind of things. But it needs to be encouraging, not
Mm-hmm.
nagging.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he listens to me, I'm going to tell him, listen, dude, if you're a grown man with kids, you get one hobby. Choose wisely, and
Yeah.
then you get to negotiate that hobby time. And it also changes by season. Like when you got, I got a 20-year-old and a 16-year-old now, so we're like a half a step away from empty nesting.
Yeah.
So I hunt more than I used to. 5 years ago, I'm on the field with my son coaching all his stuff and driving Reagan to all of her gymnastics junk.
Right.
But you negotiate those things, and there is no problem saying, okay, this video game thing, can we agree on a certain amount of time in a week? And can we agree on when that happens? And can we agree on these things? And then hold up your end of the bargain on whatever his one hobby is. But I would again speak to the king in him to stand up and act like a man. But the
Yeah.
biggest thing that needs to happen is you got to get him around some other godly men that are going to call him up to the kind of man
Yeah.
he needs to be. And so one of the things that helped me, I mean, listen, I disciple people for a living. That's like actually how I make my money. And this
Mm-hmm.
is how I feed my family. And I write books and I preach and all the things. And I realized that my job was not to disciple my wife,
Mm.
but to make sure she was in the kind of environments where she would be discipled. Those are not the same thing. The same thing is true for a wife for her husband. That you do everything that you can do to try to get him in the kind of environments where men, because it takes a man to bestow manhood on a man.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife cannot bestow manhood on you. and nagging just doesn't work. It just doesn't. And
No.
so, as you know, how you could start, one of the greatest ways to start is ask your husband to pray out loud for you, very simply. And if he's like, I don't know how to do that, find a clip where I teach men how to do it. It's very simple. You just say, how can I pray for you? Your wife's going to say words. Pay attention to the words. Say, dear God. Say all those words. Say amen. Start there.
Yeah.
It's right, but wouldn't that it changes
Yeah,
everything?
it does.
But somebody's got to go first. I like the way you said that, and you could begin to invite him into some of those spaces. And again,
Yeah.
he will repeat what is rewarded. And get into me. I'll beat him up for you, but you don't need to be beating him up.
No. And so I don't remember if I said this like before we started recording or after, but Jeremy started having like a really long commute, and I don't know what he was listening to, but
Yeah.
the fruit of it was not my favorite. It was just kind of like he's coming home. I understand you had a long day and a long drive takes me out too. But I just very gently suggested, I didn't suggest your podcast. I just suggested a podcast. I was like, what if you found, like a good Christian dude podcast? I need to ask him. Like, I have no idea how he landed on Deepen, but I cannot overstate the change just from like what is being inputted is going to be our output. Like that's just how we work. And so when it changed from, I don't know if it was music, I don't know if it was what it was, but when it changed just to, and I don't think I said this, he went all the way back. He backed it all the way up and went to the beginning. I think he listened to a few of your more recent ones. And then when he realized he liked it, he went all the way back to the beginning. And now he comes home and he's starting theological conversations. And he shared a word that God gave him for me yesterday. This is the first time in our 15 years together that he has ever said, like, I've been working on this. Like, God and I have been working on this, and this is for you. And he's reading his Bible and he's stepping into leadership. And I don't put that on like your shoulders. I'm not here to like idolize you, but it is a testament to what you just said, that sometimes getting your husband around godly men is just change the input.
And one of the wonderful things, I mean, again, there's lots of shadows with social media and all the things, but there are some wonderful things there too.
Yes.
So I could disciple somebody that I never meet. Here's the thing, dude. If you're my friend and you don't become a better husband, I'm going to beat you up. And I don't mean that as a euphemism.
Yeah.
Like in my group of guys, it's a very, very high priority that we are walking in the footsteps of Jesus, and he has called us to be servant kind of husbands, and to be bold husbands and not be afraid of the emotions of our wife. That's kind of the hardest thing.
It is.
So if you don't know those men to help your husband get around, then do it digitally now. And then, because if he listens to enough of me, I'm going to talk about, you got to have 4 mat carriers. You better identify them. If you don't know those guys, go to church. That's where they are.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. Yeah. And then part of what you're doing though is you're rewarding.
Out.
You're not just the make out thing. That's like the bottom shelf thing. But when you are engaged, like he comes home and he's excited to share something that he learned or that God told him, and you're excited about it with him, then that's the kind of rewards. That makes him want to do it again and again and again. It builds trust.
Yes. Well, and I was very receptive. It was kind of funny. He was a little nervous because the thing that he wanted to share with me yesterday was a little corrective. I heard something from God, and then how easy it is to, well, did he really say? And so I was kind of pulling one of those, and he was going, no. Like, not only did God tell you this, but God's confirmed it with me. And I could tell he was nervous to communicate it. But the fact that, I mean, I just started crying, not in a feelings hurt way, but in a like, oh my gosh, you're so right. And how did I lose the thread? And I was so grateful. And he was like, okay, like I could do that again because you didn't bite my head off, And so like yes, like I want a reward in my husband, him discerning and hearing from the Lord and speaking that over me. Like I did make out with him after that also, but like, that's not the point. Just being receptive to it. Now we've opened a whole new lane of our marriage. And it was that he was willing to go first and do that, and that I was receptive and grateful for it.
Yeah, what you'll experience, so I've been married a decade longer than you, is it actually does get better and better and better for a number
Yeah.
of reasons. One is that you guys are being conformed into the image and likeness of Christ. You're actually becoming better Christians. There's more fruit in your life over time, and you get to know each other better.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, you know how best to love each other and serve each other and meet each other's needs. And the teenage years can get a little rocky, but your kids aren't so needy.
Yeah.
Like the moment, dude, when they can just feed themselves and drive themselves and your world, all of a sudden you're gonna have like this new space in your world. And especially if you're a homeschool mom, you get to move from like the teacher to more administrator later, and that's gonna
Yeah.
help like crazy too. We
Yeah.
actually Reagan's gonna start homeschool next year, so we're finally gonna be homeschool parents, which I
Oh,
can't
that's
believe
cool.
that's happening, but it is.
That's exciting, but it's true. Well, and our big thing has been like when that change happens, I want to make sure we really like each other. When we
No
have
doubt.
more time to be together and do things and more margin, one of our big things was like, I don't want to get to that point and be like, oh, I'd rather go do that with
Yeah.
somebody else, and so
Yeah.
these
I
are the
mean,
years.
oftentimes when I'm talking to guys and they're all aggravated about their marriage, most of the time they're talking about what they're not getting.
Mm,
It's almost always just sandwiches and sex. That's almost
yeah.
always what it is. It's so simple.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, bro, do you love her? Could I mean, just straight up, do
Right.
you? And I'm not even trying to get all like First Corinthians 13 Bible stuff. I'm talking about like, are you still
Basics.
into her?
Yeah.
Because I love Gretchen so much, and I'm obsessed with her, and she's my favorite person to hang out with.
Right.
And I, like the things that make us laugh have kind of like molded together. We've got all our own little inside jokes. But I've tried real dang hard to date her the whole time we've been married and
Yeah.
pursue her.
Yeah.
And I have my schedule. There are chunks of my schedule that are ridiculous. I mean, there will be days and days and days we don't see each other at
Yeah.
all. And
Yeah.
so I try real hard to make sure we go on regular dates when I'm in town and then either have a very near memory, of something
Mm-hmm.
cool we just did or something awesome that she can look forward to that we're about to do together.
Yeah.
And and I don't do that because it's the right thing to do as a husband. I do that because I just she's my favorite person, you know, and not just
Yeah.
the physical stuff. I mean, that's part of it,
No.
but that's not. I mean, I just like her, I want to
Right.
be around her.
Right.
And when you build that, it gets better and better and better and better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think just having relationships like yours to kind of track with moving forward, like people that are ahead of you that are still saying, like, no, this person, I mean, Jeremy is my best friend. I will pick him over anybody every day. And that's just not even up for negotiation. And so hearing, like, yeah, I want to be under people, under marriages that feel that way and feel that way and feel that way and are pushing other people to do the same. And I think you guys are doing an incredible job of that. Like, not just you with, men and leadership, but your marriage is such an example as well that I'm
Yeah,
thankful
I tell
for.
guys all the time, this happens best in the context of church. You find an older guy with a worn out Bible and a smiling wife,
Yeah.
and you do whatever you can do to get around that guy. You
Yeah.
just try to get some of it on you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've, again, last plug for it, but if you can't find that, it's online. And that's
Yeah.
that's a good starting place, because what I've seen in my husband is that, because he's told me about the mat carriers, and he was like, I don't really have that. And I was like, but have you been that?
That's it.
Like, have
Yeah.
you been that? And so I'm watching him become that. And I'm genuinely watching by proxy and prayer. I'm watching those men raise up in our church, and those friendships form and bond. And then now they're stepping into leadership. And it's like, somebody had to go first. And so I'm so proud of him that he was the one that was like, hey man, you want to go to breakfast? And now there's a men's prayer breakfast. You know what I
Let's go.
mean?
Let's
So
go.
yeah, it's awesome. I'm thankful for your time and your wisdom. And I point people to your book and your podcast and your YouTube and all the things. But thanks for coming on today and chatting with me.
My pleasure. Blake, you're a delight. You're an absolute delight. I can't even tell you how many podcasts I've done, but you've got the thing.
Thank you. That
You
means a
do, man.
lot.
You
I
do. I can tell
appreciate that.
you're super smart and witty and delightful. I can tell you one of the biggest problems, like in the whole women's ministry space, um, and I think I understand this a little bit sociologically, not personally, but so many women have actually been victimized that there's this like victim posture to it. You
Mm,
know,
mm-hmm.
one
Mm-hmm.
Gretchen went to like one little piece of a women's thing one time and then left, and she's like, I just can't do that, and I figured out why, because she's never been abused, like great dad, uh,
Yeah.
never sexually abused, verbally abused, none of that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
So she has a hard time identifying when that's kind of the posture of the whole thing.
Right.
And you have a lot of hope and smile and winsomeness, and you're spending a lot more time looking forward to the future than just complaining about what may or may not have happened in the past. It is really evident in your personality. So way to go.
Wow.
You're a delight.
Thank you so much. That's an incredible way to end this podcast because my husband loves you so much, Joby. He loves you so much. And like I said a million times, I do as well. So I'm so appreciative. Thank
Well, I
you.
would love to meet him sometime if he's ever here, or if I'm ever, you know, if I'm close.
Make it to LA. Yeah.